Now, ABC 7 News at 11. On your side. We begin with a breaking news alert.
And that was in D.C. less than 30 minutes ago as a fifth night of protest rages on across the country. People demanding justice for the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, saying they are also demonstrating against systemic racism. Right now, there are curfews in effect for about a dozen U.S. cities because of these protests. Demonstrations happening in Atlanta, Los Angeles, Chicago, and right here in the nation's capital. Now, we have just learned that the D.C. National Guard has been activated. This after demonstrators marched from the Capitol to the White House. But peaceful groups are also mixing with those marching in anger. At one point, a Secret Service car parked outside of the White House was spray painted and its windows smashed in. Now, these events are rapidly unfolding as protesters keep arriving and then breaking off into smaller groups. ABC 7 is following this breaking news as it happens. We have live team coverage tonight from how these protests turned from peaceful demonstrations and then escalated to what's happening near the White House. We begin with ABC 7's Kevin Lewis. He is live tonight. And Kevin, you've been out there all afternoon seeing the situation evolve and chaos all around you just minutes ago.
Yeah, Carl, we're intentionally standing away from the crowd so we can bring you this live report without interruption. We've been having trouble doing that all evening long. We are beside Farragut North, to give you some context, the Farragut North metro station. And we've been following these protesters for more than 8 hours now. It is calm here, but just a few blocks down, it is very tense. Take my word for it. What started peacefully has morphed into anything but. I have seen multiple fights, store windows shattered, rocks, bottles, even a newspaper stand thrown at the police. And the night is still very young.
Chaos outside the White House Saturday at 17th and Pennsylvania. People jumped on the hoods of 3 U.S. Secret Service vehicles, smashing windows, flattening tires, plus spray painting anti-Trump and police rhetoric. Officers with plastic shields and wooden batons forced protesters back. All to keep a wider perimeter around the White House grounds.
Somebody help him!
Several protesters washed out their eyes.
Are you okay? Do you need a spray?
Seemingly from some sort of chemical that was fired into the crowd. Today's protest started around 2:30 beside the U.S. Capitol reflecting pool. The crowd, easily topping 1,000, spoke their minds without turning to vandalism. During a press conference this afternoon, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser stated violence is not the answer.
I call upon our city and our nation to exercise great restraint, even while the president tries to divide us. Our power, we know, is in peace, in our voices, and ultimately at the ballot box.
Well, this is disappointing. Since we were in our live intro about a minute and 30 seconds ago, a fire has broken out here along I Street. And you can see some type of spark or firecracker was just thrown in the air. We aren't sure if that's a vehicle or a building. What I can tell you, though, is our ABC 7 News vehicle was just parked on that block, and we moved it out of fear because things were getting so tense. I've thought long and hard today about why this is happening, and I think clearly what happened in Minneapolis is the main driver. But you also have to remember that this is a Saturday night. The weather is lovely, humidity low, but the temps are high. People have been out of work, stuck in their homes, and I think all of this is coming to a head, and it's going to be a long night for the district. We're live in Northwest. I'm Kevin Lewis, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, just the perfect storm for something like this to erupt tonight. And right now, not far away from where Kevin is, police in D.C. are lined up along the streets. The National Guard has been activated at the request of Park Police. ABC 7's Tom Rousey continues our live team coverage tonight in Northwest Washington. Tom.
Carl, we're behind a police line at the moment near 16th and K, the White House just a few blocks that way. I'm going to step out of the way and we're going to show you behind that police line. We're stuck behind it at the moment. you may have just seen a flash into the distance. That's a flashbang. Police have been throwing those when they feel that the crowd of protesters is getting too close to them. So a lot of action going down in the I Street area in the distance there. We've seen protesters and police literally going back and forth. Different locations, but all within a few blocks of the White House. Let me show you a video we took within about the last half hour, 40 minutes or so. This was at 17th and K, and you'll see police using those flashbang devices again when the protesters they feel are getting too close. At one point, we weren't sure if protesters set off fireworks or that was another flashbang, but most of the flashes you're going to see were devices thrown by the police. And again, the scene keeps changing where police and protesters are facing off, but at all times it has been in basically the 15th, 16th, 17th Street area within a few blocks of the White House. We talked to one man who had been pepper sprayed. Now, according to his version of the story, he said that he was protesting peacefully at the time when he was hit by pepper spray. We talked to him not long after he had inhaled a lot of it, and it had bothered his eyes and also his nostrils quite a bit.
This is about police brutality. And then I'm just over here voicing my opinion. Obviously, freedom of speech. I can do that. But obviously, you know, I get sprayed with pepper spray for literally for no reason.
Now, here's a video of the National Guard that has been called in tonight. From what we are told, the U.S. Park Police asked for the National Guard to be activated, and the Secretary of the Army gave the okay, so they are at different scenes. That said, the clashes we're seeing between protesters and police, we have not seen National Guardsmen involved in that. We've seen mostly D.C. police, the Metropolitan Police Department, and also some park police as well. And if we come back out here live, the police are starting to march forward here, so let's walk with them. We're hearing more bangs in the distance there. All right, we got an officer yelling to move back. You see right here, a very tense scene. Police are advancing closer to the protesters in the distance. Just a block from us here. We've been stuck behind this police line for a while, and that police line now advancing that direction to the south towards the White House. And you can probably see the protesters in the distance. We've seen a lot of things thrown by the protesters tonight, sometimes glass, sometimes rocks, sometimes plastic water bottles. And again, a lot of those flashbangs also thrown by the police when they feel the protesters are getting too close, and it might become almost a physical contact at that point, which did happen earlier today. We haven't seen too many direct clashes between police and protesters as far as it getting physical. We've mostly seen things thrown back and forth. Again, flashbangs by the police and bottles and things like rocks by the protesters. You see, again, the police advancing south towards the White House. Big crowd of protesters in the distance behind them. And we will bring it to you as our newscast goes on. But for right now, reporting live a few blocks north of the White House, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Potential confrontation happening right there in Northwest. Now, this is live breaking news, as you saw there, so we do apologize for any offensive language that slips by. Now, the protest in this area, not just happening in the district. This is what it looked like in Manassas just a short while ago. Dozens of Prince William County cars on the road there after demonstrators blocked streets. This is at Sudley Road at Sudley Manor Drive near I-66. Police calling this an unlawful assembly and saying the crowd is unruly. And these are live pictures out of Los Angeles, where the mayor imposed a curfew for 8 o'clock their time. That is right now, meaning no one is supposed to be on the streets. But as you can see, some people not following that curfew tonight. And there is looting now reported in Los Angeles. And this is what it looked like in L.A. this evening. Police officers and protesters there clashing. Those officers trying to push those protesters back to get them out of the streets of downtown. A short time later, police cruisers were smashed and set on fire. And we continue our breaking news coverage ahead. Protests happening in major cities nationwide. Many of these have gotten violent as the night has gone on. We are monitoring live pictures from across the country.
How was last night? Scary.
Businesses, cars, and communities damaged. One woman's plea for peace and how she says these protests have changed her life. And right now, we want to go back live to Tom Rousey. Tom, show us what's happening around you.
We got a building that appears to be under construction on fire to the right. To my left, towards the White House, things are getting worse and worse with each passing moment that goes by as far as this confrontation. You can see this fire right here. This looks pretty serious. Again, it appears to be a building that's at least partially under construction right near the White House, or being renovated near the White House. But then to the left, we've just seen flashbang after flashbang thrown by police as the confrontation has just been intensifying throughout the night. And you can see they're going to need to get the fire department out here, but it's not easy with all the streets shut down. We saw that earlier when an SUV was on fire. Just had a major confrontation between police and protesters right here. Hear those flashbangs yet again and smoke. They're trying to put up barricades to keep people out. You can see the protesters in the distance here. The police basically just advanced down the street right past us, and they were trying to get everyone towards the White House, towards Lafayette Park, but obviously they didn't want to go any further than that. And then as we were walking this way, we noticed this fire. You see police backing us up right now. Rich, if you can walk this way, Rich. All right. Police are backing us up at the second away from that fire, which again looks very serious.
It's bad up there. It's bad. They're clashing hard.
All right, police and protesters clashing in the distance there. This is definitely some of the most intense moments we've seen all night going on at this moment. We're going to cut across here, give you a sense of where we are. We are on 16th Street in
Tom,
the block.
I can see the building that you were showing us on
1
fire.
to 2 blocks north of.
Under construction there. It looks very close to some other established buildings there. Can you tell me how close they are and if there are other buildings that are in danger or being threatened at this moment?
Well, in front of the building that's on fire and to the left of it is the Hay Adams Hotel, one of the most historic hotels in D.C. right here. To the right of it, I'm not sure what that building is, but it's being renovated right now. But that building itself, again, it appears to be being renovated, the one that's on fire. You see police yelling right now. I think they're about to move us back. Here comes the fire department in the distance. Again, they're going to need to get here because it definitely looks pretty serious. Again, one of the older hotels, very historic hotel. Rich, that is the Hay Adams right there, right? I believe that it is. Fire department arriving on scene. They're now within a block. You're about to see them pull up. Fire appears to have started well above street level.
Expect graffiti on that building.
You see the fire department pulling up here. They've got a job ahead of them. It's unclear how they started that fire.
Cut out for them right there. Those flames are really raging right now, Tom. So the police appear to be creating a perimeter around that building for safety for that fire. And to the street there, you mentioned there may have been a confrontation about to start there. I can see that police line kind of in the distance. Can kind of set the scene there as well as that fire, as the firefighters try to knock down those flames.
Yes, and we just had more firefighters pull up. The fire seems to be getting more intense. Whatever building it is that's being renovated, the fire has gone up into that building. I don't know if you can tell that from where we are, but I can tell you the fire seems to be getting worse, so firefighters are going to have to move quickly here, which is what they're trained to do. Rich, if you can go up a little, you can see the building that's partially being renovated is going up on fire as well. So this is going to be a pretty significant fire before it's all said and done. In the meantime, clashes between protesters and police continue on H Street to my left. Not as bad as they were a moment ago, but they do continue. But this fire now is what police seem to be very concerned about. There's the standoff line between police and protesters over to the left. And again, that's a block north of Pennsylvania Avenue and the White House. I hear people chanting there. Again, these have been the most intense moments of the night that we've been experiencing over about the last 5 minutes here. And certainly the fire that has started seems like it's going to be very serious.
This is the Tea House restaurant at 800 H Street, across the street from Lafayette Square. I tried to go in there to see real quick if there was a fire extinguisher. I called 911 and told them to get here now. This is, again, that professional office building with the JP Morgan offices inside. This is the ground level, and this building is at least 10 stories tall. The fire alarms going off inside, that and then they say, "May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?" I want to show you that the actual fire alarm is right here. It looks like it had been pulled down prior to whoever set this exiting. It's really, let's back over this way because it's really starting to take shape. I don't see any sprinklers going off in the building. And again, police are right across the street here. Be careful of the F word on the wall here, but this is an idea of what this building is. Obviously, people who make big decisions for our nation come here to work every single day, possibly, go and frequent that restaurant. And a grade A, Class A office building, if I was guessing. And this whole building could potentially catch fire, depending on how taxed the DC Fire and EMS are, depending how safe or unsafe this area is. This security guard is... Sir, do you have any idea what happened here? I mean, presume an arson.
They just started vandalizing. They just started vandalizing.
And you're a security guard at this building. What do you make of this, sir?
Chaos. I get the bigger purpose, like what's going on, but it's too much, man. It's too much.
What's your first and last name?
Markel George.
Markel. I'm Kevin Lewis with ABC 7. Do you live in D.C.? Do you live in Maryland, Virginia?
I'm a D.C. native. It's crazy, man. I'm just trying to make it home.
This is your hometown? Born and bred?
Pretty much DMV.
And seeing this all unfold...
It's scary. It's scary.
What's your message to people watching on TV right now?
Stay safe.
So this is apparently a security guard. People are moving the barricades now.
Hey, somebody just got fired in this restaurant.
This one here, sir, or a different one?
The here.
We're live on ABC 7. Stand over this way just because we have some swear words behind you.
Of course. Here, let's take a shot right here, maybe, where there's more action.
What's your name?
It doesn't matter what my name is.
You live in D.C.?
I live in D.C., and some folks over there alerted the police that this restaurant had been set on fire.
Do you know which restaurant that is?
The Oval Room, it looks like. And, of course, the police...
We are.
No, CNN put some bullshit out.
Okay. All right. Because we've got a gentleman that just witnessed another fire literally around the corner. Sir, can you tell us, what you saw?
So, anyway, these folks ran down to the barricade by the White House here, Lafayette Square, and let the police know that this restaurant had been set on fire. And the police, I think, had other things to deal with, so they didn't come over here. But I walked in, and thankfully there was a fire extinguisher right by the door.
And you're holding the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Did you try putting it out?
Yeah, I mean, it was not a big deal, but I think the idea that somebody was just trying to set something ablaze at the Oval Room, which I don't know what the Oval Room has done to people, but it seems pretty pointless and needless to me, right?
So you extinguished the fire at the Oval Room. I mean,
yeah, but to emphasize, I mean, they set a tablecloth on fire, right? It was enough to set the fire alarms off, but I don't think that it was going to do anything.
Are you a DC native? Have you lived here for a number of years?
No, I haven't. I upseas breaking into the window more right now.
That's what I'm...
Yeah. No, I first moved to DC in 2005. And have lived here on and off since then.
I've lived here since 2013.
Yeah.
DC is such a beautiful
city.
Now
this guy is trying to break the window for no apparent reason, which is frustrating. Like, I understand... Well, I'm not going to do anything on camera right now.
DC is such a beautiful city.
I have a difficult time thinking that this is accomplishing anything, right? I understand injustice. I understand frustration. I have a hard time thinking that this is moving the ball forward. I really do.
Do you feel it's moving the ball backwards?
I can't speculate as to where the ball is moving. I have a hard time thinking that it is moving forward.
I want to bring to your attention, because you might not be aware, there's a restaurant on the other side of this office building called the Tea House Restaurant, and that was set on fire. And
I again cannot speculate. Can y'all? I think we need to let's stop right now. Okay.
All right. So we're going to come over this way and go across the street just because. Sorry, sir. So sorry. Things are getting a little chaotic here, to say the least. We're going to go closer to Lafayette Square, where there are police, and we'll have that protection.
Kevin, as you transition,
earlier today,
we're actually going to pull out from there. Just a surreal scene that we're seeing in our nation's capital. Just complete vandalism happening, restaurants being set on fire, a security guard who has basically been born and bred in the district, in the DMV, saying that he's just trying to get home tonight and eventually will have to be impacted by the fire set in his place of work there. Another man actually having to go inside and put out a fire himself because officials have so much going on. Fire department spread thin, police spread thin. We want to get to Tom Rousey now with an update on what he's seeing live. It was another fire in a building that appeared to be under construction. That was near the Hay Adams Hotel. Now, Tom, what are you seeing?
Give me 1 second here, Carl. I'm going to try to get some information for you. Oh, sorry, sir. Do you mind if I talk to the fire? Vito, do you mind stepping over here? Police are keeping us back. This is Vito Maggiolo, who's the spokesperson for DC Fire. Vito, can you tell me, we saw it burning here earlier. Can you tell me, do you guys have it under control at this point?
Yeah, what it was primarily a construction project and scaffolding that extended up several floors. It looked rather ferocious initially, but we've got water on it. We got it pretty well knocked down, except for a few hot spots. We're checking the adjacent buildings to make sure the fire didn't get inside, but from all appearances, it has not.
Any damage at all to the Hay Adams, the old hotel right here?
From what I can tell, there's no damage to the Hay Adams and no extension of fire into the Hay Adams, but we will check.
And we saw small flames higher up in the building that weren't out yet. Is that a concern at all, or do you feel like that's not going to expand into a broader fire?
As far as I can tell, that's part of that exterior construction scaffolding, so it does not appear to be a danger at this point.
I want to ask you, we saw one of your fire trucks parked very close to where all the other activity is going on. These are obviously extraordinary circumstances to fight a fire in. What is it like for your firefighters at this point?
Well, obviously, it's a dangerous situation, but we've got the full support of the Metropolitan Police Department. They provide us with escorts. They establish a perimeter. They allow us to come in and do our job.
Have they done that effectively tonight?
So far, excellent work. Excellent cooperation between the two agencies.
All right, Vito, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to work, but I really appreciate it. So Vito Maggiolo with the DC Fire there. He's the spokesperson for DC Fire, saying pretty much things under control at this point. It does not appear that the damage extended to other buildings, but they are going to check to make sure that that did not happen. Again, the Hay Adams, one of the older and better known hotels in Washington, because it's just a block from the White House. Right in front of it, of course, not many people have been staying there recently due to the pandemic. But still, that's a place a lot of people know who have visited D.C. in the past. And I want to show you again just all the damage to the buildings right here. I can now read it's the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation, it says, on that building. Somebody wrote Black Lives Matter on it. Also, a lot of the windows are smashed and damaged, even on the second level. So a lot of damage to that building. So just a lot going on in Washington, D.C. tonight.